It's India versus England. No, it's not India versus England. India and England are together for the first time on Cricbuzz Live. It's Afghanistan versus Sri Lanka in Pune. It's a game that both teams need to win to keep that semi-final dream alive. Well, these two teams beat heavyweights in the past at this World Cup, two heavyweights in the studio as well. As I said, it's India and England. Michael Vaughan, who is Elon Musk's favourite point man, because you seem to generate a lot of chatter on Twitter. And I've been told your Twitter mention has been buzzing all night long. Yeah,
it might be something to do with India hammering England yesterday. Anyway, afternoon. Nice to work with you, DK.
Hello, Michael.
A fashionista, a travel blogger to your right. And I believe you guys go back a long way. What happened on Teachers' Day 2004, 5th September?
Down the leg side, wasn't it?
What were you thinking, Michael? Like, really? I'm at the back, you're stepping out.
Was it Harvey?
Oh, look at that.
Was it Harvey?
It was Harvey. You can see all three of us in the picture. You made an effort to get back, but clearly you were late.
Look at my grill. Grill on the helmet. That's how long ago I played.
Michael, 78 to 141, strike rate of 58. What was happening in that innings?
You know, it was all about just attritional play. Playing a forward defence, running it down to third.
You reckon you would be one of the players the franchise you would be gunning after right now?
Absolutely no. I'm slightly concerned that England are trying to copy my style of one-day cricket.
But I can tell you, that day he actually played a good knock. The others around him got out, and that's why the strike rate. That was a very pivotal moment in that game. A little longer he had played, the game would have been probably in England's hands. I think they lost wickets, but he put up a couple of partnerships here and there. It was quite the game. I mean, it was my debut, but more importantly, they'd won the series. They had actually pummeled us 2-0, and this is the third game, and it was a bit of a easy match for them, considering that the Champions Trophy was coming ahead. So everything put together, but you should have thought about stepping out. I mean, you didn't know that.
I just wanted to give you a nice start to your career.
It was the first dismissal. I'm not complaining.
Chap.
But I dropped a catch of him, Anil Kumble, and I started my international journey with him copying a bit of abuse. You cut one, I dropped one.
No, nobody remembers that. That doesn't go on the scorecard. So we take the first dismissal.
That's right.
Are you buying him lunch today?
Sorry?
Are you buying him lunch today?
He should buy me. He's made me famous with that photo.
Well, it's a great snap.
I
think it's the only time in my career that I dived.
And also, that photographer met me a couple of a year ago. He goes by the name Dudley Platypus on Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah, Philip Brown.
And he said he won the photograph of the year for that photo. So you can. You made a lot of people happy that day. It started
what people don't realise is when your legs came down, you just cracked me on the back of the head as well.
A visit to the Cairo, maybe. Right, well, there's a feast of a game coming up. As I said, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, they've both beaten big teams, bigger teams, and today they could stay in the hunt for a semi-final spot. It looks tough, but it's not impossible. Take a look at where Sri Lanka are. 4 points, number 5, Afghanistan. They beat the world champions, Sri Lanka, world champions, England. They're at 4 points as well. Have Afghanistan surprised all of us? DK, what do you make of it? It doesn't look like a flash in the pan anymore, does it?
On a personal note, they have surprised me.
Okay.
And I'll say why. Because I always thought they were a good T20 squad. But coming into ODIs, watching them play international cricket for some point of time, and most importantly, the Asia Cup, I thought here was a team which has a bunch of superstars who've done well in T20 cricket, but when they come into the ODI format, especially the batting, they were struggling. If you just look at the statistics, it'll prove a point saying they've been at the bottom of the pile in this World Cup and probably remain there for now. But their bowling has stood up consistently over a period of time, and it happened consistently in the World Cup as well. The two games that they won, clearly the Afghani bowlers did well. But the turnaround was the Pakistan game for them. I think that was the game when they became boys from men when it came to batting. I thought they did really well, 275, chasing down the total with 2 wickets to spare. I think it was phenomenal. Now, you keep saying this game is important in the context of World Cup. I'll give you one more context which is very important, and one that England is a little worried about as we're sitting here, the Champions Trophy. The team that wins this game today, more likely that they will be part of Champions Trophy. And that is a big deal right now. Is that fair, you would think?
Yeah, absolutely.
How things are panning out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with DK. Afghanistan's bowling has never been a question. They've got wonderful spinners, great experienced combinations. Rashid Khan, Mujib are two of the most sought-after spin bowlers in T20 franchise cricket. It doesn't surprise me with the batting as much because of Jonathan Trott. Jonathan Trott is a very disciplined coach. He's a very disciplined person. And I think what they've been lacking with their batting is discipline. You know, is that belief of just playing good cricket shots for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I've watched Afghanistan for many, many years, and it's almost as if they get bored of just doing the same things over and over and again, which in 50 over cricket, because it's longer, it allows you to do that. You know, it allows you just to play the conventional way a little bit longer, and then you can start to exploit a few more territories. But the win against England would have given them a huge lift. You know, the way that they played against England in Delhi, to get the chance to bat, to get a decent score. And on the back of the two victories, it's been on the foundation of that opening partnership, 200 stands. And when you get a good start and you get off and running as a team with that opening combo, it just kind of transcends confidence through the dressing room. So the two victories, you know, if you'd have said to me at the start of the tournament that had beaten England and Pakistan, I'd have said, you know, maybe Pakistan, because Pakistan on any given day, you're never quite sure. I'd have never have given them a chance to beat England with the England white ball team that they have.
And today they'll want to believe they are up against equals. They wouldn't want to call it an upset if they beat Sri Lanka. They've never won 3 games at the World Cup. Afghanistan, with these 2 wins, Michael, has the needle moved for good for Afghanistan. Will they be respected a lot more, regardless of who they play?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think they're respected anyway. I think, you know, you're always looking at the teams that, you know, if you like the minnows, and that's not disrespecting them, they're down the bottom of the tree in terms of who you would expect to go to the semi-finals and win the competition. But you're trying to always build. You know, that's why Bangladesh really disappoint me, because Bangladesh has just seem to have got worse and worse and worse. And if you think how much cricket they've played in comparison to Afghanistan, what Afghanistan are getting out of their team is a lot more than what Bangladesh are getting out of their team. And that's down to coaching, a bit of confidence, a bit of belief. So this is a big game for them, because we sit here now thinking they can beat Sri Lanka. Yeah. You know, and that's another level of a kind of a belief factor of, can they believe it themselves that they've won 2? Have they got the belief to go and do it once again and beat Sri Lanka today?
And I have a theory, Michael, if you have the time to listen. I just feel why Afghanistan does better in international cricket than Bangladesh for 2 reasons. One, because the superstars they have, the skill levels are better. That's an obvious reason, I would think. The second part, because they don't play any home games, they end up traveling a lot more and playing in different destinations, and they probably don't have great bilateral results, but they produce good results now and then. Bangladesh, on the other hand, play a lot of cricket at home, and they doctor wickets, which suits them then and there, very short-sighted. So they get results then and there, but when they travel, they're found wanting. This is what I've observed with Bangladesh cricket for some time, because they like to show results that they're winning. So, you know, there's been South Africa that's lost, and they've done things like this. They have gone to South Africa and beaten South Africa. So they have results like that, but they don't back that. They constantly go back to playing on some slow dust bowls of a pitch, even in white ball cricket, and, you know, they get the results that they want, but for some strange reason, they haven't stepped up in World Cups.
Maybe they will step up once again. That 3rd win is what's on their mind. They won the toss, and they've chosen to chase once again. Remember, they beat Pakistan by 8 wickets, chasing 280 plus or whatever. A sign of the kind of confidence they have. A bit of it would be due as well, but this team believes they can chase down whatever Sri Lanka throw at them.
Yeah, I guess so. I think maybe the afternoon it might spin a bit more. You know, there might be a bit more grab because of the heat in the afternoon sunshine. Yeah, that's belief. They've done it both ways. They beat England batting first. They beat Pakistan chasing. So when you arrive at a venue and you're not dependent on winning either way, you know, you've got a great chance of being successful. It's a sign that clearly are quite confident. Confident in winning in the chase. Chasing when you've got a batting lineup like Afghanistan is always a lot harder, because they do have that kind of flaw that you could see a bit of a panic, and I would think that it'll probably need that opening combination to create that foundation once again.
There's more than that streak of brilliance in that Afghanistan top 4. Remember, Rahmat Shah among the runs as well. Rahmanullah Gurbaz, the big man up front, alongside him Ibrahim Zadra, now among the runs as well. The only change they've made is Fazal Haq Farooqi comes in for Noor Ahmed. 4 spinners worked for them against Pakistan in Chennai. They seem to have clearly looked at conditions, or is there any other reason behind this change?
100% the conditions, because Noor Ahmed was fabulous against Pakistan. If he's not playing today, you can say that Pune conditions offer a lot more to the fast bowlers, and understandably so, being, you know, having watched the game between India and Bangladesh in Pune, definitely the fast bowlers had a better role to play in that. And I believe that Afghanistan have done the right thing here by chasing. If you look at the Asia Cup, they almost chased Sri Lanka down, and they had to do it in 34 overs. They almost did it. They chased 290 in 34 overs. In the end, they didn't do the calculation properly and missed out. And if you take the practice game, if you remember, I think they had beaten Sri Lanka. But in that practice game, I mean, they could have easily got 400 or 450 Sri Lanka. If Kusal Mendis had batted, he'd got 100 of, I think, 40 balls. But then he retired himself out, and then they found a way to get them all out. Nabi bowled brilliantly. So they backed themselves to chase. And the fact that what Michael just said, that they have the confidence after they've beaten Pakistan. They've done it both ways. Like against England, they did by batting first, but against Pakistan, against a solid attack, they've chased down a massive total. And you will start playing a part, like we've discussed before, in this latter part of the tournament. It is going to play a part, and we have seen yesterday how it was. England didn't use it, sorrily, but I think a lot of teams will prefer chasing if they like it, South Africa being the exception.
Michael, can teams make the mistake of overthinking conditions? Because that spin attack seemed to work very well for them in Chennai, which was ideal on that pitch. It worked for them. Why change it?
Oh, I guess it's just conditions. You get a good feel as a captain, as a coaching department. Senior players will look at the pitch and decide upon what they feel is the best way of winning on that day. Pretty much fundamentally, it's about the 100 overs. It's about just playing good, disciplined, hard cricket. The best teams. Look at India yesterday. They just found a way to get to 229 by the captain playing nicely. KL Rahul, that partnership. Surya Kumar just kind of little cameo towards the back end. Did we think 230 was going to be enough? Because everyone was talking about the dew factor yesterday. Absolutely not. But India found a way, and that's what you have to do in these kind of competitions. Just about almost forgetting what's best to do first and what's best to do second. Just play good, hard cricket. And if you do that as a group, as an 11 that go out onto the field, if you forget the conditions generally and just say we're about just playing good, hard, disciplined cricket, generally the team that play that style of cricket for the longest wins the game, whether they bat first or bowl first.
Well, a group that's seen a lot of chopping and changing due to injuries has gone in to this game with two changes. Just to clear the confusion that happened last night in the studio, there's just one Kusal in this playing 11 of Sri Lanka. Kusal Perera has been left out. In comes Dinesh Karthik. The other one is, of course, a forced change, the man of the match of their last game. Lahiru Kumara is out because of a thigh muscle problem. In comes Dushmantha Chameera. DK, all yours. DK comes in.
So Dinesh Karthik had a wonderful World Cup qualifiers. That's where he put his name up. Before that, it was Kusal Perera, who was the consistent opener. But Dinesh Karthik did a good job. Got 100 against Scotland. Made his name there to say, hey, I'm ready for ODI cricket if you want me to. He's always been the Test captain and done really well. Now, then they back Kusal Perera again, but looks like he's definitely not the player they thought he would be in this World Cup. Gotten out way too many times, and similar fashion too. And then they moved back to Karthik, who is more the solid foil, somebody who they can back on for most part. And Dushmantha Chameera, the first change that you just spoke about. Lahiru Kumara, I thought was brilliant last game. Quick, sharp, trouble the England batters. Would be quite the miss. Would have been quite a handful to deal with in Pune conditions, but Dushmantha Chameera is a really good bowler. He's done well in IPL. He's been their key fast bowler for some time now. And add to the fact that they have Madhu Shankar, who's in great rhythm, picks up wickets early. It is a good bowling combination. You would have to say Sri Lanka start as favourites for two reasons. One, they're the team that's batted better and more consistent. B, they definitely know how to win the big moments. If you take the history of the game, they've been playing this format much longer than Afghanistan have. So that tilts the game in their favour. But, just like what Michael said, the team that plays good cricket for 100 overs is definitely going to turn out to be the better team tonight.
And the one that doesn't give up hope can often get a surprise call. That happened with Angelo Mathews. He wasn't part of their World Cup plans. Suddenly there are injuries and he's called back in. And look at Angelo Mathews. He's hit the ground running.
Yeah, and it always seems to be against England that Mathews produces magic. Well, yeah. I mean, what did he get, 2 for 14 or 5 overs?
Yep.
In Bangalore. I remember him playing one of the most incredible Test match innings at Headingley when Sri Lanka were miles behind the game, and I think they were 8 down, and suddenly he started to hit the ball to all parts. Yeah. Sri Lanka get a lead and they ended up bowling England out. Jimmy Anderson got out with the penultimate ball of the Test match in front of his face. Yeah. So he's always been able to do it against England. I've always been a big admirer of Angelo Mathews. I just think he's got a wily head. He's got a skillful brain. He was a very, very good captain. Kusal Mendis, no doubt, will be just picking his brain out in the middle. I always feel as a captain that if you've got a senior pro that's not looking to be the captain anymore, just being the senior pro, it's a great combination, particularly when you're quite a young captain.
Yeah.
if you've got that senior pro, just to pick them. You look at Virat and Rohit Sharma. I look at Virat now. I know he's a bundle of energy. He's like the Duracell bunny. I see him bouncing around all over the place. But I also like the fact that every now and again I see him having conversations with Rohit as the senior pro in the side. I like to see that combination.
He's 36. He's been brought in. Clearly, it seems like a stopgap arrangement. Here on Cricbuzz Live, we thought it was a bit of a U-turn that Sri Lankan cricket took. Is he a painkiller or is he an antibiotic for Sri Lanka's woes?
I would like to think he is a band-aid to a large wound, but one that is required for the moment. See, when you bring in experience, it basically says two things. The youngsters who are there probably haven't played enough in Sri Lanka. And probably the skill levels of an Angelo Mathews, for the moment, feels a little more precious than the ones available in Sri Lanka. Understand the decision, not one they would have ideally wanted to go to, considering how they've been preparing for the World Cup, one they've been forced to do. But the good part about it is Angelo Mathews, even though he hasn't been playing too much cricket, has turned up well, done well with the ball, did well on the field as well, and given an opportunity to bat, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But is this the long-term answer? Definitely not. I think he also knows it's probably his last World Cup. He's just having fun out here. But having come and helped Sri Lanka beat England, which was a massive game. If it could have easily been a very, very boring game today, but if it has had some sort of context, it is the fact that Angelo Mathews played a part in picking up a couple of crucial wickets in that game.
Also adds to the leadership group as well, adds to the think tank, because their current captain, Kusal Mendes, the moment he became captain, the batter in him sort of started feeling the heat a little bit. Michael, you can give us an insight on captaincy. Why does this happen to so many players? Without the captaincy, they're doing very well. They're playing so freely. Suddenly, their captain having to go to press conferences. Why?
First and foremost, he's only had 3 games, so it's a bit early. But, I think it's when you're not the captain, you're just the player. You can just focus on purely your game. When you're the captain, you've got another 10 players, and probably the 4 players that aren't in the team, the management group that you have to kind of communicate with. There's more meetings that you have to get involved in. Your day, in terms of match day, is completely different as a captain. You don't just wake up, have your breakfast, go to the ground, hit a few balls and go and play. Yep. There's so many different combinations of chats that you have to try and think about. Having someone like Angelo will help him. Fundamentally, the last 2 wins will help him. That this team have won 2 games of cricket, so that should give him belief as a captain. I look at Jos Buttler for England. Jos has probably taken all the kind of weight on his shoulders because England are losing, he's not playing well himself. And the longer that goes, so for Kushal, the longer it goes without him getting a score, it does start to weigh on you. Yeah. You do go to bed at night going, crikey, what's happening? Why can't I just see the ball? Yeah. The ball just seems a little bit smaller when you're the captain. When you first start out as captain, it can seem a little bit smaller. And until you get that first score, that first knock, that kudos back in the dressing room that you've done it as a captain, that ball doesn't start to get any bigger. So at the minute, he just needs to... It's funny, I used to always ask people, what's the best kind of piece of advice that you could give me as a captain? And no one really gave me any piece of advice. And when I finished, I thought, what advice could I give to a captain? And I said that the best way, because I started my captaincy reign and I was pretty like Kushal, I didn't get a huge amount of runs. And then someone gave me a tip, said, when you go into the dressing room, the best way you can think about being a batter all of a sudden is almost put your batting cap on. So as soon as you go in the dressing room and it's batting time, so I used to just go and I used to have a cap in my bag and I used to put it, and that was my batting cap. So all I thought about then was batting. When I went out to the field, I put my captaincy cap on, and it was about tactics, man management, and getting the team motivated. Yeah. But as soon as I came into the dressing room, I knew it was batting. I had this cap, and that's right. All I think about now is batting. I can't deal with man management. I can't deal with tactics. It's purely about the ball, thinking about watching it and trying to get into the movement and rhythm of batting. So if I could give him one piece of advice, just get his batting cap on when it's batting time, and as soon as he goes out into the field, tactical time.
Tiki, you've been around captains as well. I'm sure you have a couple of insights as well.
It's a great point, and I was going to allude to something like that, but in a very different way. I was just going to say, as a captain, you need to do 2 things. One, during the day, at some point, you need to have a bit of me time, where you're thinking about yourself and your batting. That's your primary skill, and people will only respect you as a leader if you keep getting the runs that you're supposed to get, or rather, you're heard a lot better. If you start failing in your primary skill and you're struggling as a batter, it would be hard to go and tell another batter, you know what, you're just averaging 15, I'm going to drop you. he'd be looking at me and going, are you sure? Are you sure you want to play yourself? So if you want to have a very positive conversation with a lot of the people, then you need to make sure your batting is, your batting is on point. Or for that matter, if you're a bowler, your bowling is on point. Your primary skill, by the way. And the second thing for me would be what he has just said. As soon as you get in, he went a little further out when he went into the dressing room. For me, as soon as I put my pads on, stepped into the ground, I'm a batsman. It doesn't matter if I'm a captain or not. I need to get the runs. I need to do what is required for the situation. And in my limited time as captaincy, I realized a lot of the times it got the better out of me because I was somebody who overthought at different points of time. So when captaincy came to me, I didn't focus so much about my batting off the field. So I was spending time with others and helping people and all that. But I went in as a batter. I, for some strange reason, I always had it in me to think like what I needed to do for the team. So to segregate the two is very, very important. But at some point during every day of your life, you need to set some me time for yourself where you're thinking as to how your cricket can improve on an individual basis. That'll eventually help the team as well.
Very quickly, best captain you guys have seen? One each.
In one-day cricket?
Yeah, whichever cricket.
MS Dhoni.
Okay.
I was going to say the same name, but we can also add, I think, Ricky Ponting. I think he did it brilliantly as well.
There's one man who could have easily captained Afghanistan but has chosen not to. Rashid Khan, he is a force of nature, isn't he? Great ambassador of Afghanistan, their cricket as well, loved by everyone across the cricket world. His numbers in ODI cricket are a different story. He's playing his 100th ODI, Michael. What a force he is, and what a delight for those who love spin bowling.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers speak for themselves. I mean, particularly in T20 cricket, I think he's a harder bowler to face in T20 cricket because he only has to bowl 4 overs.
Yeah.
And primarily bowls maybe 1, 2 and a 1 or 2, 1, 1. He's never bowling his 4 generally at the same time, so he's bowling to different batters who always take 2 or 3 balls to get used to him.
Yeah.
I think in 50 over cricket, because he bowls 10 overs, I think batters can get used to him. They can almost give 2 or 3 overs just to have a look. And you can see all the different variations, what's coming out of the hand. But primarily, he just tries to hit the pad. He bowls dead straight. He tries to hit the front pad. He brings in LBW bowls. Tries to get the batters playing across the line. Brilliant bundle of energy. He just looks the kind of character. I mean, I see him on the pitch as a commentator. I always go and speak to him. He's just got so much passion and energy for playing the game. He's a great ambassador, not just for Afghanistan, but for cricket.
Cricket as well.
With his, he smiles. He just brings this kind of, through the TV screens, every time he gets the ball in his hand, he just looks like he's loving playing the game. And I just love all sports people that, even though they're under a huge amount of pressure, I just love sports people that when they're under pressure, they still look like they're playing like they were 11 years old.
Yeah.
Like they just love playing the game. I just love those kind of characters, and he's right there at the top of the tree and kind of transcending how great a game cricket really is.
Yep. Are you okay with how Afghanistan have used him? Because there seems to be this reluctance on bringing him in earlier. They bring him on around the 14th, 15th, 16th over. Is that the best way to use him? 10 overs of him, can it be spread out a lot better?
From what I've observed how Hashmatullah Shahidi goes about things, he looks at him as a trump card. So whenever he needs a wicket, I think he brings him on. But there have been a couple of occasions when he could have brought him on much earlier. Example, the India game. They were just going all guns blazing and I don't know what he was waiting for. He should have brought him on much earlier because knowing the matchup to a Rohit Sharma on that day, would just make a simple sense to have brought him, but he didn't. Though I must admit, he is not the wicket-taking force that he is in T20 cricket, and as I've said it on the show before, that the main reason being how the batters think. In ODI cricket, they're happy to take singles and the odd boundary. It reverses completely in T20 cricket when they're happy to hit boundaries a lot more and don't want the singles so much. So when that situation arises, he's far more potent and lethal, but in ODI cricket, he is definitely not the force that he is. And the stats, obviously, as I've said before, it looks great, and I understand why. But again, most of it has come against associate teams, so you can understand why the stats are so good. But having said all this, he is a terrific bowler here as well. He picks you critical wickets, and when the game is on the line, he's the kind of guy you want to go to as a captain because he wants to do everything possible to make that moment yours. And you need to be very aware of personalities of players. And I think Rashid Khan is the kind of player, he's a captain's dream. He was the guy who you want to go to under pressure because he doesn't run away from it. He wants it, and you need guys like that.
His batting intrigues me as well.
Oh, yeah.
I always think that his batting is underutilised.
The Rashicopter.
Well, he's never out of nick. I've never seen him out of nick. Every time he goes out there, he seems to hit a boundary over cover point. He'll flick one over backward square leg. He hits it in stupid areas. There's no way that you can set fields to him because You know, he completely hits the balls where the captain will never have a feel, because sometimes he hits the balls in areas that he has no clue where it's going. I would, you know, now and again in T20 cricket, in the IPL, in the Big Bash, when I said, I would think, why don't you just throw him up? Just use him as why not?
Yep.
You know, in Afghanistan, he's not a trump card, but he's certainly a card that I'd be using every now and again, of just going, go out there and just see what you can do.
He's a bit of a Swiss knife, isn't he, in that Afghanistani lineup? Well, at times I do feel that his bowling numbers need to be looked at in the right context. It's also his other bowlers. It's the number of runs that his batters give him. All that contributes to his ODI numbers as well. A lot of teams very happy to play him out. What about Sri Lanka's opener? A man whose name is highly mispronounced. DK, you'd know a thing or two. Pathum Nissanka it is. They get it wrong very often. 4 half centuries for Pathum Nissanka. Among the runs, should feel good going into bat on this Pune pitch.
Definitely the best batter in that Sri Lankan team by a distance. And purely from a technical point of view, very sound against fast bowling, very good against spin too. You get one or the other with a lot of the other players, but he is an exception to that rule, and you can see he's in great rhythm, great form, and most importantly, he's taking the responsibility that a form player should. He's just not giving it away easily. He's taking the team to safe shores, and that's a very important quality of a batsman who is in good rhythm, and I like that about him. Isn't too worried about high pace, isn't too worried about mystery spinners, can rotate singles well. So he is the package that you would think that would take Sri Lankan cricket to good heights with his batting. A lot of people earmarked Angelo Mathews many years ago to take on from Jayawardene and Sangakkara. He's done a decent job at it. But it would be Kusal Mendis and Pathum Nissanka as the, you know, if I had to earmark 2 players from Sri Lanka, those 2 would be the names I'm looking at, and Pathum Nissanka has been in great form so far.
You want players among the runs, players who sort of like to stay under the radar, not very much talked about. You think Afghanistan would have spent too much time planning for Pathum Nissanka?
Oh, you can plan as much as you want, but when you're up against a quality player, I mean, I was listening to the game against England on the telly, and they were talking about he has a problem that he doesn't go from 50 to 100. That's a good problem.
Yeah.
And if you get into 50s, you're doing a lot right. Yeah. I just like players that they hit he hits the boundaries naturally.
Yeah.
You know, he goes out there and just plays and he gets the boundaries, whether it's that shot through cover point. He hit a couple over extra cover off the spinner. Beautiful shots. Magnificent, just there you go, over extra cover. Very well balanced. All really good players have great balance on front and back foot. He's got the pull shot in the locker as well. Yeah, he's got all the tools. I think we're going to see a fair bit of him over the next few years.
Yeah, well, also Sri Lanka, it's a team that's trying to rebuild its cricket. A few youngsters have come in. DK, you were here during the Asia Cup as well, and we saw the likes of Sadira Samaravikrame and Charita Asalanka, 2 men who could be the nucleus of that Sri Lankan middle order going forward in all formats.
Charita Asalanka was the batsman to look forward to leading into the World Cup, but things have not gone exactly to plan for him. But Sadira Samaravikrama, I think we need to spend another half an hour to speak about him, because Pathum Nissanka was good, but boy, Sadira Vikrama was really very, very good. Just from the outset, the first ball that he hit for a boundary against England was a statement. I'm sure Michael, you would have watched it. And actually, he is also a guy who hits over covers very, very well, steps out and uses his feet to hit over mid-wicket very well. So he's again a very, very good player, and one that Afghanistan would have trouble bowling to, because he plays spin really differently to a lot of other cricketers, because he uses his feet, which is not a skill that a lot of people have these days.
Yes, quick reminder of the playing 11s of both teams. Sri Lanka have gone in with 2 changes. No Kusal Perera. Remember, in comes Dimut Karunaratne in that top order. Dushman Chamira comes in for Lahiru Kumara. For Afghanistan, just the 1 change. Noor Ahmed, the left-arm wrist spinner, out. In comes Fazal Haq Farooqi. Afghanistan have won the toss and they've chosen to bowl first on this Pune pitch. Time now for Joy Factor. Happy birthday to Joy as well. Let's see if he's given us an easy one to deal with on his 32nd birthday. Joy, who was the first Indian opening bowler to reach 100 test wickets? Kapil, maybe?
I don't know. I'm thinking Carson
Ghavri?
But much older probably. I really don't know. Yeah.
This is an easy one. It's Googleable.
Yes, it is.
Any ideas?
It's Capel, surely.
Should be Kapil.
Yeah.
Safe answer.
He probably won't, because Joy kind of thinks out the box.
It's his birthday. Maybe he's decided to be kind to us.
It can't be such an easy one. There'll be something in it.
It's a googly from Mr. Bhattacharya, the birthday boy. Well, before we wrap up, gentlemen, very quickly, predictions. It's England versus England in a sense, isn't it? Chris Silverwood versus Jonathan Trott. That's why pubs and bars and restaurants in England are full right now.
Oh, jam-packed. What time is it? It's about 9:30 in the morning.
Best time to watch cricket.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
With some ginger ale.
Yes. Yeah, you mentioned Trott and Silverwood. They've done a job on England this tournament. Slightly worrying.
Predictions. First innings.
297.
280.
3-1-1. Lock it. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox after 15. Bye for now.